Hi, my name is Josh Siskey, and today I will be doing a presentation on digital citizenship and literacy. First of all, I think it's important that we talk about what is digital citizenship. And digital citizenship is the responsible use of technology to learn, create, and participate. Next, I want to tell you why is teaching digital citizenship important. And there's a recent study in 2008 where it found that teenagers are spending 9 hours a day looking at a screen. 95% of teenagers have their own mobile device. Their social media usage has increased 9% since 2012. Their video chatting has increased 8% since 2012. Their text messaging has increased 2% since 2012. And their in-person communicating has dropped by 17% since 2012. So from these numbers, you can clearly see students are on a screen and using a phone and a computer more and more than they ever have before. So it's important that we teach them how to use these things responsibly and properly. So some key topics that we can teach students are internet privacy and security, news and media literacy, and digital etiquette. Now there's a lot of topics that we can teach them, but I chose these three. And what I'm going to do in this presentation is talk about each of those, and then I'm going to go over a sample mini lesson that you could do with students to show them how to properly do each of the three things listed here. So first of all, teaching internet and privacy security. Students need to know how to protect their data and their rights to online privacy both in and out of school. Teenagers are no longer protected by the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. Once they become teenagers, they're no longer protected by that. This means they can legally be tracked and targeted with ads, and their data can be shared with third parties. Over 1 million children were affected by identity fraud in 2017, with families having to pay a combined $540 million out of pocket. Minors who are bullied, interestingly enough, online are 9 times more likely to be victims of fraud. Continuing on with this, teens are more aware of their online privacy. That's a positive. That's great. 60% of teen Facebook users keep their profiles private. Another positive. But only 9% of students are very concerned about third-party access to their information. And 60% of students are not very concerned or not at all concerned about third-party access to their information. They're not that worried about people stealing their things, and they probably should be. Teens that are concerned are more likely to manage their online reputations by deleting comments others have made on their profile, untagging themselves from pictures, or just deleting accounts altogether once they see that they're harmful. So here's a sample lesson, a mini lesson, and right away you're going to notice the colors are brighter, the font's different, there's going to be some emojis in there, some different things, and that's on purpose. We want to get kids' attention, we want to make sure that they are paying attention and excited about what's going on. And so this would be a sample lesson for my special education class that I teach with living skills. So first of all, it talks about internet safety, and it says, I can learn about strategies to create a strong password. And we talk a lot about electronic security. Where do we need electronic security? That's logging into your computers. That's online accounts. That's unlocking cell phones, social media. All those places, we've got to have strong security. So a question we would ask our kids is, what happens if someone gets a hold of your password? And we would ask them to come up with different answers, and we would try to guide them to understand that people getting a hold of their password means they get some of their private information, but also they can post things on social media, and it makes it look like it's coming from them when it really isn't. And so we want to let them figure that out themselves, but we are going to ask them that question. This is a video, and in the name of time, we're not going to show it, but this is an internet safety hip-hop song, and it just talks mostly about usernames and how to and safe usernames and things to come up with. So we would watch this video, and then on the following slide, we're going to reiterate some of the information from there where it says use common sense. So we want to make sure in our usernames we are not using private information. We're not going to use our full name. We don't want to put our phone number in there. We're not going to put our birthday, our address, our school name, obviously not a credit card or a social security number. And you'd be amazed at how many kids do some of these things, put their birthday in there, put their phone number right into their username, and now anyone that finds their username has that information right away. So we want to make sure we talk to them about that. Here's another video, and this one is about strong passwords. And so that's the other thing we want to talk to our kids about is creating strong passwords and how we want to do that. So we would watch this video. It gives some good ideas on how to create a strong password. And then the next slide, we've got our password do's and don'ts. So of course, do share your password only with your parents. Create passwords with at least 8 characters. Use a combination of letters, numbers, and symbols. Change your passwords every 6 months. And then don't share them with your friends. Don't use passwords that are easy to guess. Don't use any private info in your passwords, and don't use a word in the dictionary as a password. That's just too easy for people to figure out, so you've got to come up with some different things. So an activity to end it that we would do with our student is we would say create a strong password and a weak password for an important historical figure. Both passwords should be something special or unique about that person. And our example is Abe Lincoln. A weak password would just simply be Honest Abe. It's just his name, obviously his nickname. There's no numbers, no special characters, nothing. Pretty easy to guess. Whereas a strong password, 7 years with the money sign, numbers, it's got a capital S it looks like. We've got a couple of different things there, changing some things up that make it a lot tougher to guess. So that would be that lesson. Now we're going to move on to teaching news and media literacy. And one of teachers' main concerns is students being able to find and assess the credibility of online information. Less than 44% of students from the age of 10 to 18 feel that they can tell the difference between fake news and real news. And you think about all the things online, that's pretty scary. Tweens and teens struggle with the following issues: considering how sources shape story content, assessing the quality of evidence, and actively investigating claims. Research shows media literacy education has a positive influence on students' ability to assess information credibility. Continuing with that, 77% of teens say they get their news from Facebook. That can be scary. We all know that. Students aged 10 to 18 prefer to get their news from social media outlets over traditional news outlets. And again, some of that's just memes. They consider a meme with something on a news source. And obviously we know there's so many fake ones out there that change the way people think. So it's critical to pull back the curtain on media and technology so students can see how and why it is being produced. Students need to understand advertising in the digital age. So now here's the lesson again. And again, it's website evaluation. It says, I can use strategies to determine if a website is safe and reliable. So it says we need to find and use information appropriate for our research. So think about what we're researching and make sure we find something that matches it. The information that you choose to use in your research matters. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the acronym CABLE. And C stands for currency. When was this last updated? When was this article written? And another thing is think about, do you need a current information for your article? If you're writing a paper about Abraham Lincoln, you may not need a current article. But if you're talking about, as in here, the safety of vaccines, we probably want something more current than 1996 at this point. There's going to be more information. So we want to look at our currency. The A is authority. Who is the author? What website are we getting it from? Is it a .gov, .org, .edu, or are we just getting it from a .com? Obviously, we would much rather prefer a .gov, .org, or .edu. So we're going to talk to our students about that. Next, we talk about Wikipedia because kids love to get their information from Wikipedia, but that has a huge authority problem because you don't know who authored the page. And as we tell our kids, go down to the references, click on the references, find those articles. You might have better sources just doing that. Next, bias. What's the purpose of the website? Are they trying to persuade you of something? Are they trying to sell you something? Hopefully it's to inform you if you're doing research. Or are they trying to entertain you? But you've got to be careful. Does the author heavily promote their opinion? Be very careful about this one and where you're getting your news from. Next, level. And this is one that our kids struggle with a bunch. Sometimes they find an article that's great, but the information is too hard for them to understand. So we've got to do all we can to find articles about what they're researching at their reading level and at a level that they can comprehend it and translate it into words that they want to put into for their papers. Exploration then. Okay, do a Google search of the author. See what you find. Is there articles saying how great they are or what they've studied and what they've done, or is there articles saying, hey, this person's been known to bend the truth a little bit or they're biased this way? Try to find out what you can. See if you can find other sources that have the same information. Now you're fact checking. That would be a great thing. Now the activity that we would do for this is we'd have them and a partner go and choose one of the databases located on the Nebraska Access website to evaluate. Nebraska Access is a great site. It's got a bunch of different sites that it goes to that are credible sources. Find an article from there, and then you're going to check the article's currency, the authority, the bias, the level, and the exploration, and see if you found a good one or not. On to teaching digital etiquette. Teens now commonly connect to peers through texting and social media. 83% of teen social media users report that social media makes them feel more connected to information about their friends' lives. However, a smaller percentage of teens that struggle with depression report heightened emotional responses to social media. Students struggle with understanding how much communication with peers is too much, not enough, or just right. 57% of teens report making at least one new friend online, mainly through social media or on online gameplay. So people are making friends without really ever meeting these people in person. That can be a little bit scary. Now, at the same time, adults report being worried about tweens and teens being coerced by sexual predators, but studies now show this is relatively uncommon. Teens are actually more likely to be pressured to share sexual content by their own peers. Teachers need to spend more time talking about creating healthy online relationships with peers than talking about meeting sexual predators online. Everyone's scared of those sexual predators, and rightfully so. But studies show now the biggest worry is their own peers trying to coerce them into doing things. Around 15% of students aged 12 to 17 have sent sex, and around 27% of people have received them. That means 12% of teens report forwarding sexual content without consent. That's a scary number. Cyberbullying is something that's becoming more and more prevalent. 28% of students report being bullied online. 16% of students admit to bullying someone online. 59% of some students have experienced some form of bullying. 68% of students have reported being a part of some sort of drama or on social media. 90% of students believe that online harassment is a problem in schools. And schools can show students the proper way to interact online and show consequences that can happen from hitting send, and that's part of what we want to do. So right now, our next lesson is going to be appropriate commenting online. It says, I can learn how to comment appropriately online. And first of all, at the start, you want to have a specific way that you're going to compliment the writer. Then you're going to ask a question, and you're going to add new information in your comment, or you could add new information. So comments allow other readers to engage in discussions, share thoughts, connect in real way, and provide constructive feedback. What to avoid? We tell kids, hey, avoid generic comments like nice job or cool. Obviously, avoid mean or rude comments. Don't just put a bunch of emojis. That doesn't do anything. That's not a positive comment. Off-topic comments like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Or I like pizza. If it's a comment about somebody's paper, it probably isn't worthwhile. And then also misspelling words and abbreviations. We want to be professional in our comments even as teenagers. So here's an example that we would show our students, and this is our own superintendent at Papillion La Vista Schools talking about a snow day and how they're going to wait till the morning to call a snow day. And these are real replies on Twitter. We've blocked out the usernames and the pictures, but you can see one of them says, you hate us. And so we would have kids talk about, hey, is that a good comment to make or a bad comment? And then the next one says, I get you're trying to save another snow day. The roads are bad, only getting worse. Please reconsider this decision. So we would talk about that one. And not all comments are bad. Obviously, some of them are okay, some of them are good, and we'd let the students talk about it a little bit. We have several comments, but in the name of time for this presentation, I'm just showing these two. And we would talk about what they think about these comments. Next, we would have the students draft their own response to this tweet and share it in our collaboration space on a Google Classroom. And say, hey, come up with something, and then we'll talk about whether your comment was good or bad, and hopefully they all come up with positive comments. So that's the end of all the lessons, and from all this, we have 5 core ideas that we want students to think about. 1, slow down and self-reflect. Notice your gut reaction. Push beyond your first impression. Recognize that situations can be complex. Before you hit send on something, slow down, think about it. 2, explore perspectives. Be curious and open-minded. Seek to find out other people's perspectives. Remember, not everyone lived the same life that you did. And so people have a lot of different perspectives. Just because what they say doesn't affect you or doesn't seem true to you doesn't mean it's false to them. It still could be true to you or true to them at the same time. Seek facts and evidence. Investigate and find facts. Weigh information from different sources. Don't just go to the same place to get your news constantly. Go other places. See if you can get your eyes opened a little bit. 4, envision options and possible impacts. Think about how different choices reflect values and goals. Evaluate possible impacts. And on this one, man, we show there's a ton of famous people right now that are getting quote unquote canceled because of tweets and different things that they do. And we want to talk about how those choices that they made have affected their lives. And then lastly, take action. Choose a course of action that feels positive and productive and make a change in the digital habits to support your own well-being. And so we talk about that with our students. That's the end of my presentation. Here are the references for it. If you have any questions, please comment in the video below. Thank you.